Hi there, for today's video we are going to be reviewing setting. Now we've gone over this a couple of times, but today we are really going to focus on why is the setting important to a story? Why is it so important? Okay, so setting, where and when a story is taking place. I have some different examples for where and when. But when we think of where does the story happen? It can happen different places, right? So here are some examples that I wrote. It can happen in home, the store, jungle, on a boat, or outside, or many other places, right? And then when. So when does the story take place? Is it taking place during the morning, at night, the year 2021, during summer, or maybe in the month of May, right? So setting can, we can have very different settings. It can be underwater, at night, right? It could be in the morning on the top of a castle. Setting can be so many different things, but here's just a few examples. So let's think about it. Why is setting important to the story? I'll give you a moment to think about that. Do we need setting whenever we're reading a story? Do they need a setting? All right, let's talk about this. So sometimes the setting affects what happens in the story. So let me go get an example and we're going to talk about the setting. So earlier this week we read The Gingerbread Man. Now, what I mean by sometimes the setting affects what happens in the story, well, the Gingerbread Man, as we know, is trying to get away from all the different characters, the cow, horse, pig, the old woman, and the old man. But then he's stopped because he comes across the river, right? So the setting, where's the setting? It's outdoors and near a river, right? So what if there was never a river? Then the gingerbread man could have kept running, right? And he probably would have gotten gobbled up by the fox. So that's what I mean by sometimes the setting affects what happens in a story. If there was not a river, then he would probably still be running from them, right? Okay, so the setting can change throughout the story. So I'm going to use the same example, but the setting starts off with the little old woman in the kitchen. So where is she? In the kitchen. But then it changes because the gingerbread man hops off the table and then runs outside. So do you see what I mean by changing? Started off in the kitchen, but then outside, and then keeps going and going, and then comes across the river. So the setting then changes to the river. So that's changing. And then we have characters react to the setting. So what does that mean? I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. What does that mean? Characters react to the setting. How do they do that? What does that mean? Okay, if you need more time, just pause the video. But again, we have the gingerbread man coming across the fox at the river, right? Well, how does the gingerbread man feel at this point? He's scared, right? He's like, I can't cross the river. I can't swim. He can crumble up once he gets wet because he's a cookie. So he's reacting to the setting. The setting is the river. Well, he's scared, right? So that's what I mean by reacting. He is scared by the setting, which is where? The river. Okay, so one more time, let's go over setting. Setting, where and when a story is taking place. So where and when. Where am I? I'm in a classroom. When? During the day, okay? So remember, setting is very important to a story because it can change how the character feels, how the character acts, what happens at the end of the story. You can just do a whole bunch of things. So that's why setting is so important to a story.